Hello everyone, it's Farket here. Now this is part 1 of the FAQ videos. I decided to separate them because it took a long time. The reason it was late is that I lost my voice while recording all this. I spent over an hour doing the voice and I didn't realize that my voice was actually going. By the end, it was bad and I couldn't finish it. And it hit me pretty hard because this is supposed to be something I enjoy, and if it's affecting my health, then it's no good. But I'm back to normal now, my voice is all good. I was able to answer 95% of the questions. And if your question isn't in part 1, it will probably be in part 2. But if it isn't in either, don't take it personally. It was either too similar to another question, or I just couldn't answer it. But that was very rare. So anyway, enjoy. I received a lot more questions than I was expecting, but that's probably a good thing. And there's a lot, so let's get started. The first one's from ADHD Doug, asking about pacification mechanics and about pacifying cannibals by not killing them and waiting out their attacks until they leave. There's a reason I've never actually touched on this, is because it's really difficult to observe. Most of this I'm going to be saying is anecdotal. I've actually looked through the game files and I couldn't find anything regarding their aggro, how they attack and all that sort of stuff. There was a video that was done that I keep getting the link sent to me for, and it's a really interesting video. Can't remember the female YouTuber that's done it, but I'll put a link in the description for it, about taming cannibals by them not attacking you. Now, I've never really shown much interest in this because I don't think it works very well. The reason being is because the game will have mechanics in it that will increase the aggressiveness of cannibals over time. We know that if you cut down trees, it increases the hostilities of cannibals and mutants. In every game I've played where I've built with logs, there's been much more aggression. However, I have played games where I've built my structures out of stone and the aggressive level's has been almost non-existent. I'll put a couple of patch notes that are up on the screen, and I think they're relevant too, because if you build massive bases, the game will send enemies for you anyway. So in essence, I don't think you can tame or pacify cannibals completely. You can only do it temporarily, and it will eventually wear off. Though my solution to this, and it's been this way for a while now, is to block the cannibal patrol routes, because then you don't have to worry about them being aggressive, because they can't get to you. Within reason, of course. If you've been watching my playthrough, I've built in an area that's too large and they actually have spawn spots in my base. So you can't really get around that. I do know that effigies do not work in pacifying the cannibals. They have an area of effect around you, and there's a set distance that if you go near them, they will become aggressive, and that you know this distance for when they're praying to you. If you walk up to them, you'll notice that distance you get. When they get up, they've actually gone into aggro mode then. Though the best way I would say at keeping the aggression level down is to not build on a patrol path. Because if you build on a patrol path, you're going to be encountering more enemies. And if you kill enemies, that does increase aggression, I believe. And you can see it when it happens. You kill one and they're just not happy with you. So building on a patrol route will increase the amount of enemies that you come across, which means you will kill more, which in turn will increase the difficulty more. You need to find a safe place to build. So unfortunately, I can't offer too much. The reason I don't usually touch on things I'm not confident on, and this is one of them. Though by all means, watch that video. It is an interesting watch. Next one's by Nat the Great. Top 3 items or features that I would add to this game. Probably the first one would be an item like saline, where you can wash the blood off yourself without having to find water. I find that it's very restrictive and unfair on players that choose to build away from water. So I think this would be a good addition, because you can get covered in blood if a cannibal dies somewhere randomly in the world. And I don't think it's fair that you get covered in blood for that. The next one would be a modifiable log cart where you can build structures, attach structures to it. An example would be like you can build a rabbit cage on it, or you can build a catapult on it, bone baskets, something like that, to make moving these things around less tedious. The third one would be a quick menu, probably similar to that of Subnautica, but not for building, but more for crafting items or accessing certain things like For instance, with upgraded weapons like poison upgrades, I think you can only take one or two swings before they wear off. but a quick menu that allows you to open up, select an upgrade like your cloth, poison, or cloth and booze, and just instantly add it without having to go into the inventory and do that management system would be awesome. I have heaps more ideas, but I could go on forever. And there's a difference between want and need. Next one's from the legend. How does the breeding cycle work? And by the way, your voice is so satisfying. Breeding cycle, I believe he's referencing the rabbits, and hopefully not the cannibals. The rabbits basically have a 10% chance of breeding when there's 2 or more in a cage every time you sleep. If you want a trick to get around this and you haven't got many rabbits, have 2 in a cage, save, then sleep, and if they don't breed, just reload and keep doing it. It will take you a while, but it speeds up the process and it makes the game a lot easier later on. And yes, my voice is satisfying. It puts me to sleep. Next one was Goostard Gaming, and I'm between 130 days and 140. He can't remember. And he's noticed that he's been constantly attacked. I've set up effigies and apparently they scare these cannibals away, but it seems like it does nothing. Are they broken? Do you think the amount of attacks should be turned down a bit, as it's getting near enough impossible to build anything without fighting? Also, do you think the map should be bigger? And love your channel. Cheers, man. If you're constantly being attacked, it means that your aggression level with the cannibals is at an all-time high. What I would recommend doing is blocking the patrol routes if you can, and further enough away that they can't attack them because they won't spawn in properly. And what will happen is, because you're not seeing them or interacting with them, I believe the aggression level will go down. I think that's the way it works. But either way, if you're getting a break from being attacked, that's probably what you want. As for the effigies, yeah, they're crap. The smaller the effigy, the smaller the radius, and it only works when it's burning. It doesn't actually have effect on their actual aggression level worldwide. It's only the cannibals that are surrounding it. Honestly, don't build effigies. Only use them as decorations. As for having a bigger map, no, I don't think a bigger map is the issue. I think the issue is that a lot of the map lacks content. And you can see this at the top right and top left of the map. They could be doing a lot more, especially the top right. And also there's the water as well. They could easily put in a boat or a sunken ship or something that we could go and explore and have some content in there that encourages us to go exploring. But I did a video on the what's below the sea, and there really isn't anything. There's just some booze on the shore and sharks and turtles and fish. That's where I think they should be expanding the game. Next one is by Sebria, I think. What do you do for a living? I'm probably going to regret saying this, but I actually used to be a police officer and I was injured in the line of duty, which has kind of prevented me from working, but it's left me able to survive. I'll probably get a lot of questions about the police stuff. I'll take them as they come. Hopefully I don't regret saying that, but that's probably about as much as I'll say right now. The next one's from Fazzy Wolf. How do you memorize the whole map? Landmarks is key. Look at it as like a puzzle. If you're going to put a puzzle together and you've only got a couple of pieces there, it's really hard, but the more pieces you start placing, the easier it becomes because you can start matching things up. And it's the same with the forest, is that you remember areas and they connect to other areas. And then you'll find another area and it'll connect to another area, and it's just all this connection will happen and you'll be able to know where you are at just about any point in time. The only areas you will struggle with, and I still struggle with, is dense trees. All you can see is trees and that's it, until you come across ponds and stuff like that. Probably an easy way to remember is if you play multiple games, build in different places everywhere, because you'll learn the surroundings really, really well. But if you build in the same spot every time, you won't explore the other side of the map, and you'll be an amateur if you go over there. You won't know what's there. So just try building in different areas. It will help learn the map a lot more. Darth Sinmore asks, what would you think about them implementing some sort of net or tarp that would be filled with sticks, bones, or other items that you could send down the zip line? I think this would be amazing. I think this is something that's really needed. I actually had the similar idea, but this is better. I'd like a stick basket that you could send down, but a tarp is actually much better because you could use it for other things. But yes, I totally agree with this. This would have been in my top 3, but I didn't want to steal your idea. Michael states, I think it would be cool if they made bears in the game that would attack cannibals and other NPCs. I don't think they're going to have much luck trying to get them to attack cannibals. The crocodiles in this game don't even attack cannibals. And when cannibals are in the water, the sharks don't attack them. Though I would agree that bears would be a cool idea. Though I think if there were bears, cannibals probably wouldn't last too long. But then again, I would love to see a bear fighting an armsy. That would be cool. Or a bear and a fat man charging each other. Shoot them down says, what is the safest place in the forest to set up a base above ground? Meaning the least amount of patrol routes nearby and a general place where a place where you're safest from cannibals and mutants. I would say islands if you're after ultimate safety, and don't build a bridge. Though islands are boring, in my opinion, because it takes much longer to get resources there, and you always have to go back to the mainland for resources anyway. I would say the fertile lands would be one of the safest places, but in terms of blocking patrol routes, there's this place right next to it that I really like because you get access to all the sticks, and the main cannibal village is really close by, and you only have to block off in a couple of places. What I would do is build a base. This is really difficult though, is build a house that extends from the river to the ocean, so it's a lake side, so it connects the sea to the river. I've done it before, it's a really cool build. It takes a while though. Mediocre asks, do the enemies spawn in specific places? Can I build a small defensive wall rings around these spots to prevent them from roaming the map? There is spawn spots. I don't know where they are. They would be very hidden in the game files and that sort of stuff. If you're going to build somewhere, you'll catch on pretty quickly where they are because they'll spawn there. And what can be a good idea is just build deadfall traps underneath them. Building a wall won't be that practical because a lot of the time it will be armsies and Virginias that will be spawning. And they'll just annihilate the wall. So you just want to kill them. Though that place I mentioned before, I never had cannibals or mutants spawning in that spot. So Cool Ninja asks, do you think they'll ever add a bike or some sort of transportation? I don't believe so. The map's too small for it. If you've got max athleticism, you can generally get from one side of the map to the other in about a few minutes. The island isn't that big. So I don't think they will be adding anything like that. Big Yellow asks, did Ed Knight fix the machete upgrades yet? I don't believe so. It's conflicting with the katana. You upgrade the machete, it also upgrades the katana, but whether they work at all, I've got no idea. And he's also curious about whether weapons and tools have secondary functions, similar to the repair tool, being able to take small trees without using stamina, and the rock's ability to one-shot with a power attack from behind. The rock's ability to kill from behind isn't actually a power attack. What it is, it's actually called a stealth attack, which is in the mechanics, and I believe bladed and club-like weapons can do it. So axes, machete, rocks will all kill them in one hit generally. Not on mutants, but only on cannibals. You don't have to use a power attack. It just has to be a successful attack where they don't detect you. I think the damage is on par with headshots with the bow and arrow. I haven't had a chance to test all weapons because it does take a long time to sneak up on a cannibal with each weapon and kill them all. But I do know that axes, the machete, and rocks work. Darth Sinmore, I think he asked a question before, but he's got another one. He suggests that a cage to trap and imprison cannibals. I think this would be a cool idea, though I would be interested in to see what sort of purpose it would have. He suggested it would be a good idea to lure in others for the bones. I don't know how well this would work. This is pretty heavy on the AI and that sort of stuff. I think it would be a cool idea, but I'd have to think about the potential of what use it has. Guru states, given the progress you're seeing with the course of the game, the updates, additions, etc., what would you tell a new or returning player who is thinking about purchasing the game? Basically how I would describe it. So I think people play this game for different things, and I've picked that up working on this YouTube channel. See, I've approached the game from both elements, and the survival and the building elements. That's the combination I like. If I just wanted to build, then I'll just stick to creative mode, and I wouldn't find that very rewarding. I just think I like the combination of the elements it has. As for describing it to another person, I think me giving an opinion would be actually not a good thing, because in a sense I've played the game that much that I've probably become a bit disconnected from what it's like to be a new player. And I try to maintain that connection by replying to comments and talking to you guys and reading your comments and doing a video like this, as in that I don't want to become disconnected. Otherwise I'm just basically sitting in an echo chamber. What I would say, it's a survival game where you get to build and do whatever you really want. What I really appreciate about this game is the amount of freedom you got and how it keeps you on your toes. You're never actually safe. and it prevents complacency. It's probably why I've played this game for so long and so often, is that there's no complacency in it. I find it difficult to get bored because the game forces you onto other things. If you're building something, next thing you got to do is actually go and get food. You haven't got food, you got to go hunt. And while you're hunting, you could run across cannibals, or you could struggle to hunt. Always on your toes. You're always being pushed to do more. And that's what I like about it. It's the ultimate test of the human psyche, I believe. I would probably do a video on the things I would change. It would take me a while. I know a lot of bugs in this game. I've never reported them just because I just haven't had the time, and they've been bugs that have been in the game for a very long time anyway, most of them. As to the suggestion about doing a video talking about the changes, blah, 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 doing a spokesperson, a member of the dev team, assuming it would be arranged. I think Broadband tried this when he had like 20,000 something subscribers, and I don't believe he made any progress. And I believe he actually used to contact them. I think the issue is, and they always mention it, is that they're struggling with time, and they're a small team, and I don't think they've got the time for a lot of this. Though I would do it, I would be open to it. I would ask the right questions. Given that I used to be a cop, I'd certainly get the information I needed. That would be entertaining for me. Though an alternate suggestion he mentions is, how about a detailed overview of the island? And I could use my zoom in from orbit effect to highlight points of interest. I've actually had the same exact idea. I just haven't got around to doing it. I probably will do something like this. It's something that's been on my list of things to do. Petro says, what type of content would you like to see the developers add to the game? Harder difficulty, sea cave, musket, rifle, etc. And what is the point of getting to 99 strength when you can get good at headshots with the bow instead? The kind of content I would like to see is what I think they want to add. I don't think they should be listening too much to the community, because I think the community can actually poison a game. And as you were seeing with what they did to Harder Survival, I think the Forest should keep doing with what they want to do. I honestly don't want them to listen to us. I really don't. See, I've loved the game from day one, and I think their creative decisions have been great. The thing is, and this is a problem you have with games, is that, or anything in your life, is that to make a recipe, you've got to add a certain amount of ingredients and the right ingredients. But if you had 20 chefs in the room trying to add their own ingredients, or 40 or 50 or hundreds, it starts messing it up. And I think this is what could happen to the Forest, because a lot of people want guns and that sort of stuff. I do not want guns in this game. I like the idea of not having a gun. There's too many games that have got guns, and that's why I don't like Rust. Guns are old. This is something new that they're doing, and it's good. I like it. Though, if anything, I would like to see is more survival features, and I think they're on board with that. They're just trying to find a mix between survival features and features that aren't annoying, which they claimed a lot of the hard survival stuff was. As for the point of getting up to 99 strength when you could just use a headshots with bow, if you're going to play for 150 days and use the bow non-stop as your only weapon, I have no idea how you do it. It's incredibly boring. I always switch between weapons because I get bored. Using the same weapon all the time is not fun. And especially with the bow when it has one attack mode. And the point of getting 99 strength is to increase your threshold at what you can eat at. Because if you've got 10 strength, you do realize your threshold is between 50 and 50. So you're constantly going to be gaining weight. And if you're gaining weight, you won't be able to raise your athleticism. And if you've got low athleticism, you're going to struggle to fight because you're constantly going to be running out of stamina. And I'm pretty sure if you use a bow, you have to move around a lot. So it's probably a good idea to raise your strength. That's my argument anyway. Cheesecake Productions says, you run the wiki, nice, keep up the good work. Cheers, man. Appreciate it. Yes, I do run the wiki. It's been neglected for far too long. Dexter Lee says, hey Farket, I just wanted to ask you a broad question. Where do you think the game needs more work and expansion, and why? I think I've really covered this a bit. Needs more content rather than a bigger map. And I just really want them to be working at their own pace. If they add too much too soon, it adds too many bugs, and I don't want them to go through that because people complain at them a lot. I actually feel sorry for them a lot of the time because people whinge at them nonstop. But yeah. Scamatic asks, what is the best and most efficient way to kill the final boss on hard survival mode? Honestly, I haven't actually completed the game in some time, and he's been updated quite a lot recently. Or she. Or he. No spoilers. Anyway, honestly, they're just like mutants they're just arrow sponges. I think you should stick to the weapon that you're best with. Though, from my experience, use sticky bombs. They always work, because the end boss does move around quickly. Just stick with what you're good at, because if you start switching to a weapon that you're not good at, that you think is going to be better, you might end up dying more than you need to. A bag of flour says, questions. I'm a wussy. Does the forest ever get easier and less scary as you play it? Yes and yes. You become better at it, though. If you keep updating the difficulty, you might go beyond yourself. It does get less scary in the sense of that it's like watching a horror movie. You watch it once, it's scary as hell. You watch it a second time, it still has that element of fear. But once you've watched it 10 or 20 times, then it's set. So yes, it does get easier and less scary. What's the best way to ask a stupid question? The next one is, what's the best place to build if you want a source of fresh water, good visibility for mutants? And good visibility for mutants, of course, and if you want to play defensive. There's too many places to list for that. Honestly, not in the forest itself. What you want to build is on the beach or something, because there's rarely anything blocking your view. That's where I'd suggest. And there's a lot of patrols routes down there. But as for fresh water, just build water collectors. And for what are all the rock covered areas that require TNT to get into? What's inside them? They're what has the gun pieces and a unique item of some sort. So there'll be watches, skulls, rope, or gun ammo in there, or there usually is gun ammo in there. And then you can make the gun. And the last one is, what happened to the people on the yacht? I actually don't follow the story that much, so I'm not very sure. There is a lot of speculation on it. Like everyone on this island, I think they all died. So sorry, I can't really give more than that. Andy James, he says, not really a question, but it's regarding rock walls, building up high. They do that arching thing. Yes, I am aware that it does you can only place it 13 times and it starts to distort. And you can align it with 2 or 3 or 4 and it stops doing it so much. I don't really like doing this method because then it starts looking bad in another way, in that it looks the same pattern on each rock wall. I'm just not a fan of that. I'd rather the rough look, to be honest, because then it doesn't look like it's just one texture on the whole entire wall. But yeah, that is a good tip for those who don't know it. And he thanks me for the vids and kudos on running the wiki page. Cheers, Andy. Bryce Cook asks, question, is there any building structure that you can put around your base that cannot be broken by cannibals? I know you've covered it in older videos, but there's a ton of patches, have come out to where they are destructible now. Yes, there is a few structures that are indestructible. There is the target, though it doesn't work that well on flat ground, and you've also got to turn it around and face it the rear side to where you want to block them out. That will keep them out. They can't destroy them, though it's not the best. Animal traps also block them, but cannibals can jump over them, and mutants can glitch over them occasionally, and they're very expensive. Though the best one that blocks them out completely is water collectors. They can't be destroyed, and they can't get past them. The only problem is you can only carry one turtle shell and you can't store them, so it will become a pain to build them. If you're on the beach, it might be the best way to wall off. Just build water collectors. And they actually serve a purpose, but yes, they will block them out. I don't know how far to build all these apart though. That's something that will require more testing. Tyrannosaurus Rex asks, that's a cool name. He basically states that his friend had an issue with the game not running. If anything, for any problem you have with this game, is verify the game's cache. If that doesn't work, try to reinstall. But apart from that, it's kind of out of my scope. What I suggest you do is go onto the Steam forums and search Survivalist Gaming and look at all his posts and search keywords for the issue you're having. That might help. Simpsons video says, I bet the top question will be, is that your real voice? But yes, it is my real voice. Telmo Silva asks, do you speed up the game time with the patrol route videos? Yes, it was very boring, but it was also really interesting for me. I rather enjoyed just watching how they were acting and what they were doing. And I also just wasn't watching them. I was recording and writing down, drawing in Photoshop where they were going to the exact point. So it was kind of like studying in a way. So I don't know if I'll do more because it was more of the same crap. There was nothing new. It was the same thing every single time. So I don't know. There was just nothing more to add. I've got more footage. I've got about 8 hours, but there's just nothing there. As a suggestion, in the next series, you should do several small bases, live like a roamer or like a nomad. I could do this, but I've done it many times before. Honestly, I think a lot of people watch videos for the building techniques. I think I get a lot more preference for the videos where I'm focusing on building rather than survival, but maybe. The problem is that your bases might get taken out when if you're walking by and you just totally forget about it. Shaw asks, I've got a question. I'm fairly new to the game. I've seen the ending and have actually done the ending myself, speed run, knowing where to go, but they've found this odd. Is there any way to capture cannibals and experiment on them? Perhaps make your own mutants? I think that's way out of the game scope. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that. Though, who knows, modders might have a way of doing it. But I don't think they'll add anything like this. Great channel, by the way, hands down, better than all on. Cheers for that, eh? Appreciate it. So here asks, maybe you could make an achievement guide, especially for crafty, because my crafting achievement's like 25 out of 26. I tried everything, I can't find the 26. You'll probably be surprised that it's actually the gun that you need, or the toy. It's either the gun or the toy. I don't think you can use mods to add them. I think they are the issue. I think the achievement's really bugged at the moment, so just try the gun and the toy and get them properly. Don't cheat to get them. That should fix it. Brooke says, this is kind of weird, but when I went to find all the gun parts, it wasn't anything in the fourth hole. Continuing on, I came back to it, and once I got all the parts, it wasn't there. Is this a glitch? Try verifying the game's cache. That's what I'd recommend. When textures and things are missing, it's usually something's gone wrong in the files, and the files are missing. So try that, and it should fix it. Nick Man says, thanks for the great videos. Cheers. Can you tell me any chance to lower my weight but not lose strength while doing that? Also, you mentioned in videos about adrenaline rush. I've never come across that in the game. To lose weight and keep your strength, what you've got to do is eat meat in schedule and at the threshold. So depending on what your strength is at, I'm guessing it's rather high. What you want to do is eat meat at around 55 and try not to eat anything else and just drink fresh water. And eventually what happens is it puts your good nutrition points above your bad and under eating and over eating nutrition points. And so what happens is your weight will return to its normal base rate at 205. It's slow, but that is the best way to do it. I would never mention about starving yourself. That is the worst thing you can do. Trust me, don't do it. As for adrenaline rush, I might do a dedicated video on that question. Yayo asks, what does sanity in the forest mean? Honestly, I got no idea. The developers never released it. I've checked all the patch notes. I've checked everything the developers released in terms of information. There's actually nothing there. There is speculation that it's auditory hallucinations, but I spent 2 hours testing it and I left the video recording the whole time. I scanned the audio for voices or any voice abnormalities, removed background noise, everything. There's nothing there. So I don't actually believe that auditory hallucinations are a thing. Honestly, I don't know what sanity does. I don't think it does anything, though we shall see. Raven Might says, what is the best spot to start? Should we move a lot in the forest? If we leave the premise for a long time, will cannibals slowly leave the area? I believe the best spot to start is honestly by boat, because it gives you time to think about where you want to build. And you can move your stuff around until you make a decision. Should you move around in the forest a lot? I don't think so. I think you should take a break from your base every now and again. I think that's good. And if you leave the premise for a long time, will cannibals slowly leave the area? Yes and no. If you leave for a while and come back, you'll probably have a break for a few days. But also, if you want a really good break, just save and exit. And they won't come back for a few days. I think that works well. Lois, I think is his name. Why in your videos the water in the ocean when you're swimming looks so clear, but in the game it looks extremely dirty? Do you use a specific configuration? I've got no idea. Maybe it's because of post-video editing that I do. It makes it look a bit clearer, but when I'm playing, it looks awful. It's real murky as hell. So I'm not sure. Though if you want to see clearer under the water, go flat ocean quality. It will make it much easier to see, and your game will even run better. So that's what I recommend. Bartek asks, what do you would need to do to have perfect stamina and strength? This is a video I've been working on, but basically eat meat when you're just above 50 hunger. So not long after it starts flashing 60, never drink soda or eat snacks. I will do a better video on it. And also how to fight with multiple cannibals. Avoid it. Try and split them up. Use explosives or traps. It's the best way. And he said, good luck with your YouTube career. Cheers. I don't know if this could be a career yet. We'll see. Roldan says, can you upload the game save file so we can play it? Yes, I will. Just getting around to it. It'll be up soon. Ideas on additional light sources, maybe a hanging lantern on your waist, or being able to use headlamps that you sometimes see in caves. I think this might be a good idea. I'm mixed on it because I think it takes away some of the horror elements from it. If you can see too much, well then, I think it affects the core nature of the game, so I'm kind of split on that one. He also asked, does chopping off cannibal limbs reduce the amount of bones you get from burning their bodies? Yes, it does, because each limb has 1 bone, the torso has 2, so you get 6 bones in total. So yes, you do lose bones. I can't pronounce that, but asks, what do you know, if anything, about the future of the game, the content, stuff like that? I don't know anything, to be honest. Don't actually go talking to the developers. I don't really want to know. I like being surprised. Not bad surprises, but I got no idea. I probably should reach out to them, but I don't know. I'm just really busy with this all at this stage. I'll let you know when I know more. Dutch Blades asks, is the death count in this game relevant in any way, shape or form? No, it isn't. If you die, doesn't do anything. In multiplayer, it is different. If you actually died and you didn't get revived, it resets all your stats. So yeah, don't die there. Yeah, don't keep track of deaths. It's pointless. If you die, just take advantage of it, because what happens is you spawn in a cave that's got heaps of booze and you can just raid the cannibal village as soon as you get out. I imagine it would keep stats, but what does it really mean at the end of the day? You're never going to see it, I don't think. So don't worry about it. I can't really speak that name. What about adding some editing in video with music? Let's speed kills with Aborigines or that. Yeah, I'd have to use mods while playing, and I don't want to play the game properly. I did it in that Q&A video. It was just some footage I had. I just didn't see a purpose for it, so I just kept it anyway. And I decided to upload it with that video. Worked out pretty well. So yeah, it would be cool to do, but it takes time, and I don't like using mods because it's cheating. Also, thanks for all your search for the weapons and upgrades video stuff. Complete my quest. Cheers, no worries. Glad I could help. Andrel asks, how can I play with you? That's a tough question I get asked a lot. I'm avoiding playing with my subs at this stage because I don't want to show any favoritism. That's what I want to avoid. Honestly, I don't know how I'd do it. I just don't want to show any preferential treatment to certain people over others. Honestly, if I was playing with my subscriber base, I just want to play normally. I don't want to record. I don't want to have to give commentary. Honestly, I would like to have fun with you guys I would rather it be a fun thing. Second question, how can I see the forest much better? Going to caves, I don't see anything. You could try and whack up the brightness in your monitor, or you could try and use an upgrade with your weapon. Use cloth and booze. Booze gives you about 10 to 15, maybe 20% more brightness. Or you could use a torch, or just throw flares, or use mod API and cheat. I don't know. You just start learning where things are in caves and you see a bit better as time goes on. Third question, what can I do with deer and rabbit skin? Store it, because you can make chairs and couches and deer skin decorations and stuff. Also, a lot of items you can make and use the rabbit skin. Not so much for the deer skin, but it has its uses. For how many time you need to edit one video, it depends on the video. Playthroughs can take up to about 2 hours, because I make sure I do it properly. It's about 2 hours or something like that. So I don't know how some YouTubers do a video every day, but I'm assuming they've got help. And the fifth one is, you can make one video with the top 5 locations for a house, please. That's been something I've been wanting to do, but the thing is, an ideal place for one person is cancer for the other. An example of that is like a peaceful area would be crap for some, but a hard area would be good for some. I'll probably split it into multiple videos. Anyway, that was part 1 done. I should have part 2 out tomorrow or the next day. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.